Hey, what's up, everyone? My name is Trent. This is Rams Talk. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in and subscribing. For everyone who has subscribed, all the legacy people, thanks so much for being a part of this. And for everyone who's newly subscribed and new to the channel, thanks for jumping on board. Hope you like it. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Got a lot of awesome stuff. It's a great community. This is the in my car on my lunch break edition. Gonna preview the Rams and Lions game coming up. Hope everyone had a happy Thanksgiving. Took some time off to just kind of, I guess, eat food and watch other teams play. So big game last night. The Saints lost to the Cowboys. So the Rams really hold their own destiny in their hands. But what I really want to tell everyone is that this Sunday versus the Lions, I'm going to have a collaboration with my buddy LT over at Combat Sports Talk Los Angeles on YouTube. So make sure you head over there and subscribe. But we're going to be doing a live stream from his channel, kind of pregame and probably halftime of the game. So we'll be answering questions and talking to you guys live before and during the game. So that should be fun. Remember, Combat Sports Talk Los Angeles, great channel, great guy. I'll be hanging out with him this weekend. Should be fun. Big shout out to my wife, for basically holding down the fort with our kids for the second game in the row. I went to the Kansas City game on Monday night, so she had to handle those. We got small kids, so that's just a minefield that she stepped on for me. And then I'm going to be going to this game. So, you know, for anyone who's married with children, getting away for games is key. And shout out to my wife for being awesome again and always. So let's just get into this. I mean, talking about like going from the highest of highs against the Chiefs to kind of the blah of the Lions. You know, I think that the bye came at a perfect time, like physically and mentally for the Rams. I mean, coming out on the fires and the shooting and the being everywhere, being away from their families, then having the just emotionally draining and physically draining game against the Chiefs on Monday. I'm sure the week off was perfect timing. However, if you're going to get an extra week to prepare for a team, and it's they blew it on the Lions, you know, if this was the Bears, then that would be that'd be awesome to have that extra time to game plan for the Bears, or even the Eagles. But the Lions, you know, I want to say I learned my lesson from almost predicting or counting on a win, because we did it with the Seahawks before and they gave us a scare. In fact, the Rams kind of have been behind in a couple of games. So it's not a sure thing. And, you know, the NFL is wacky. I mean, the Bills beat the Vikings and just anything could happen. However, you know, I watched that Thanksgiving game the Lions had against the Bears and just kind of tracking them throughout the season. And, you know, first of all, let me just say, I have nothing against the Lions. I actually feel for the Lions and the Lions fans. I mean, the Lions and the Rams have kind of been similar over the last 20 years in terms of how crappy they've been. So, you know, I really do feel for their fan base. I know what that's like. So I don't have anything personal against the Lions. But, I mean, this Lions team is, let's just say, going through an existential crisis. I listened to some of the Lions reporters just kind of talking after the Thanksgiving game, just kind of what are we doing anymore? You know, they traded away Golden Tate. Marvin Jones is on the IR. Kerryon Johnson looks like he won't play this week. They basically are playing without three of their top four offensive weapons heading into the season. The only guy that they have is Kenny Galladay, and he's awesome. But, you know, Stafford doesn't have weapons, so you can't put it all on Stafford. But, you know, he threw that pick 6 in a tie game last against the Bears. And it's just no, I don't think anyone, if you're a Lions fan or an opposing team's fan, no one sits there anymore and thinks, man, Matt Stafford is the chosen one. Matt Stafford is our guy that we believe in every week. Matt Stafford is just roll of the dice. Are you getting good or bad Matt Stafford? You never know. You know, he's basically, this is his third worst season across the board statistically, QBR, passer rating, touchdowns, all that stuff. Hard to blame him when they trade away Golden Tate, who is kind of his favorite third down like target, safety blanket. Marvin Jones is a bona fide receiver in this league on the IR. Kerryon Johnson, the Lions haven't had a top-notch running back since Barry Sanders. And Kerryon Johnson seemed to be like stepping up and taking over that role, and he looks like he'll miss this game with a knee injury. So that's just tough all the way around, and their offense really is going to come down to Kenny Galladay. This is what they have. So the Rams need to protect against Kenny Galladay on the outside, but the Lions are pretty much going to be a dink and dunk team. Their second leading receiver is Theo Riddick, who is the running back. Theo Riddick, I don't forget about you. You ruined my fantasy playoff chances last year. So still thinking about that. But Theo Riddick has 48 receptions on the year. It's more than Todd Gurley. And he's been averaging around 6 receptions in the last 4 games. So he's a back out of the backfield that the Rams really need to track. But, I mean, that just goes into the short yardage kind of things. And their feature back is the explosive and dynamic LeGarrette Blount, who's averaging 2.8 yards per carry. Fun fact, Jared Goff's averaging 2.5 yards per carry. So it's LeGarrette Blount. So kind of a great timing for the Rams' run defense. They're not dealing with explosive, dynamic Kareem Hunts or, Chris Carsons or any of those guys. They have LeGarrette Blount. So, I mean, he's physical and he'll plow through, but he's not burning around the edge. He's not making several cuts. He's just falling forward. So the Rams can definitely stop him. So they really the linebackers have to be active in tracking Theo Riddick. The cornerbacks are going to have a pretty big task with guarding Galladay. And, he kind of lines up all over the field. I feel like the Rams are going to keep their cornerbacks on specific sides of the field. So it just depends on where Galladay lines up, left side, right side, or in the slot. He's done all of that. So I think all the cornerbacks are going to get a shot at guarding Galladay. But that seems to be the clear weapon that they're going to use. Their second real receiver that they're using is Bruce Ellington. It just makes you drowsy thinking about their offense. Their offensive line isn't special. It's middle of the pack. They spent their first round pick this last year on Ragnow. And he's a left guard. That's going to be a matchup to watch because that's where Aaron Donald likes to match up. So I see kind of typically what we see in every game, the center and the left tackle chipping away to help the guard that's matched up on Aaron Donald. And speaking of Aaron Donald has 14.5 sacks. We have 5 games to go. The single season sack record by Michael Strahan is 22.5. So he's 8 sacks away with 5 games to go to tie. So I feel confident that he'll get 2 sacks in this game. Could get 3. Very possible. I mean, they don't have this Lions offensive line does not have one guy who's amazing. They're all kind of average. They're all kind of the same middle of the pack. So Aaron Donald, he could really make a case for getting the sack record in this game if he just goes bananas. I mean, I almost kind of feel like 2 sacks a game is almost the norm anymore for him. But it's kind of staying on the Rams offensive line or defensive line. Michael Brockers, I feel, Aaron Donald has 14.5 sacks. The Rams have 29. He has half. Michael Brockers has 1. Dominican Sue has 3.5. Michael, this is a down year for Michael Brockers. I love the guy, and he's solid, but he's been getting a lot of one-on-ones. A lot. And he has 1 sack. Now, I don't know in terms of pressures, how much of a force he's been with that, just constantly applying pressure, but kind of expect more from Michael Brockers, and I'm hoping that he turns it on, in these remaining games and in the playoffs. Ndamukong Suh 3.5 last year. He had 4.5, and he is playing a different position in the 3-4 compared to what he normally plays. So he's really just, I think, taking on more blockers and freeing up Aaron Donald and Michael Brockers on the other side to really do the damage, which Michael Brockers hasn't done. But AD, I feel like will go off. I feel like that's not news, right? Everyone, I'm sure, feels like that. In terms of the Lions and scouting them and finding out what they're all about, flipping it over to the defensive side, their run defense is actually pretty solid. Matt Patricia, their head coach, was the D coordinator of the Patriots. Aaron Kromer has said this week he's the run game coordinator of the Rams. I'm going to talk about the Rams coaches in a bit, but he said that this Lions team reminds him of Patriots teams in terms of their defense, which makes total sense. But they have four guys. But in terms of the run defense, they have two guys. They have Damon Snacks Harrison. Gotta love a guy whose nickname is Snacks and is a D lineman. And then they have A'Shawn Robinson with an apostrophe in there between the A and the S. A'Shawn Robinson. Both guys in Pro Football Focus are ranked 3rd and 7th, respectively. A'Shawn is 7th and Snacks is 3rd. They got Snacks from the Giants in a trade this year. And so those two guys plugging up the middle are going to be tough. So the Rams really need to, that's going to be a really good matchup between their interior line with Blythe and Sullivan or Saffold and opening those holes. Because if Gurley can get to the second level of the linebackers, that's one of their weaknesses. That'll be key. Also on the edge, they rotate in Ziggy Ansah and Okwara. So those guys stay fresh, and those guys are going to be rushing on Whitworth. So Whitworth, we all know Whitworth is solid. He's a mountain of a man, but he's going to be dealing with not just like one guy like Chandler Jones or D Ford or any of those guys. He's going to be dealing with two guys kind of like rotating in and staying fresh. So he's going to have to stay on top of it. That's going to be an interesting matchup to watch. And then their other like prime time defensive players, Darius Slay, cornerback. Although Pro Football Focus doesn't have him rated particularly high, I think he's like 32nd or something. He is legit. Teams generally shy away from throwing in his direction, but the Rams offense, they throw it everywhere, and they've gone up against Patrick Peterson. They've gone up against a lot of key corners, and they've thrown at the receivers that are matched up against them. So I don't see the Rams shying away. So obviously the Rams passing attack, I think, is going to be really firing. The Rams, honestly, like I look at this game and the Rams could drop 30, 40 points easily. The Lions are not, the key for the Lions to me to be in this game is to score early. They haven't, but they don't. They never score early. They've only scored more than 7 points like once since 2016, week 5 of 2016. The Rams, and we all know this, have the 30th rated scoring defense in the first quarter. That's a mouthful. And we all know this because they give up tons of points in the first quarter and first half. And then, they make the adjustments and kind of clamp down in the second half. So if the Rams can really just hold Detroit from striking, which they should. I mean, it's not an explosive offense. They're just going to try and like pound and I guess throw to Galladay, who the Rams know that's where they're going. But their linebackers are a weakness, both in rush defense and run defense and in pass defense. And that's where if Gurley can get to that second level, then I think Gurley's going to have a magic day. He's had time to rest that ankle. His ankle's no longer an issue from the Chiefs game. And the Lions have allowed 3 games of 50-plus yard TD runs. And Todd Gurley's longest run of the year is 29 yards. So I think Gurley could really rip one off. Like I said, if he can get around Snacks and Robinson, then I think he really can get after it. And also, I see the Rams tight ends really playing a big role in this game because the linebackers struggle in coverage. And so Higbee and Gerald Everett and even Woods, if they put Woods in the slot, which they really do a lot here now with Kupp being out, and they put Reynolds on the outside, you know, Higbee, Everett, and Woods can really tear it up in the middle of the field, because the Rams, we all know Goff likes to throw to the middle of the field. Yeah, so I mean, we're not stating anything obvious. I'm trying to find something that the Lions can do to keep this game close, but I feel like the Lions fans know, like, oh gosh, like, we're looking terrible. Our roster's depleted. We're playing the Rams coming off of a bye week. Heaven help us. So for me, I want the Rams. My number one priority is win the game and get out of it healthy. Aqib Talib, he's going to be back. You know, don't need to rush him. Play some snaps. His workload's going to be TBD. So that'll be really great to just kind of maybe ease him in before we get to the Bears game. But hopefully his presence really calms down the secondary, and we'll see how he does against Golladay if he's matched up against him. And the other thing I wanted to note real quick is part of what is said about the Lions is their offensive coordinator, Jim Bob Cooter. Yeah, they still name people Jim Bob Cooter in this country. Crazy, huh? Jim Bob Cooter. It's not a joke. He's their offensive coordinator, and he's kind of on the hot seat. I mean, not really his fault. They don't really have many weapons due to injury and whatnot. But a lot of the talk around the league around two coaches on the Rams staff. Shane Waldron, their passing game coordinator, and Zach Stacy, their QB coach. So the Rams coaches and coordinators are kind of interesting. So last year they had Aaron Kromer as their O-line coach. Shane Waldron was their tight ends coach. And they both got promoted from O-line coach to running game coordinator and passing game coordinator. And I've been thinking about Aaron Kromer for a while, just because just look at how stable the offensive line has been. And I know it's because of injury. They haven't been injured. They've been healthy, and so they've been able to build continuity. Whitworth has helped a lot. But when you have guys like Havenstein and Blythe come in and perform at such a high level, Blythe is a top 5 guard, that has something to do with being coached up. You know, you draft guys, and you know, they've got talent. They're specimens and everything, but they have to adjust, and they have to be coachable, and they have to perform. And I just remember the Rams before the McVay era, when they had Paul Boudreau. Everyone's like, he's the O-line whisperer, and I like bought into it. I know they had crappy personnel like Greg Robinson, which, you know, some guys just aren't coachable. But kudos to Snead for identifying good projects, and kudos to Kromer for coaching them up. So look for Shane Waldron and Zach Stacy, who's the QB coach. You know, this could be their last seasons on the Rams staff, because they're young. Both are under 40 years old. Both are you know, key parts of the coaching staff on a prolific offense, and especially passing game. And a lot of teams are looking for that, like, next McVay, that next young guy. So, and I'm not sure about their personality. They're probably not like Sean McVay in terms of being such an awesome, passionate, extrovert, rah-rah guy. But, you know, just names to know: Zach Stacy, Shane Waldron, and one of them could be on the Lions staff next year. So, anyways, that's it. Rams take this game. Book it. Yeah, if you've watched all the way to the end, now I'm guaranteeing it. Book it. Rams are going to take this. Say nothing new, but once again, shout out to my wife. Thanks for letting me enjoy this game. Shout out to LT at Combat Sports Talk Los Angeles. Come find us on the live stream. I'll have a recap for you. If you haven't subscribed, jump on board. You can subscribe right there. If you have subscribed, thanks so much. Thanks for jumping in on the community. Be nice to one another. Have a great weekend. And as always, go Rams.